Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
The sun is rising, feel the warmth on my face. There's a lot to do now, but there ain't no race. I sip my coffee, I'm feeling fine. No need to work yet, I'm gonna take my time. It's a brand new day, gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. My name is Kimberly McLemore, and I am your host. With us, we have Marlene Morris, CEO, founder, owner at Achieve Transform. Welcome, Marlene. How are you?
Hi, Kimberly. I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast on WSBI, and thank you for inviting me and accommodating me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I am extremely excited about this interview. And I love all my interviews that I do, but this is a special one for me because you are WSBI's first international interview. So you know what this means, that you being the first, that means we plan on having a lot more of these conversations with women all across the country and all across the world. So I am just excited about this. You and I have a conversation all the way from the UK.
Oh, wow. I'm excited too. And knowing that it's gone international is brilliant. And that's what it's about, really.
Absolutely.
Women inspiring women and, just encouraging each other to grow.
Absolutely. So, and to get this interview actually started, Marlene, please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, let me keep it short. As you know, there would be so much story. So in terms of what I do, I'm actually a business growth coach, and I'm really passionate about what I do. And also, I really am excited about being a business growth coach because I help other women to grow in their business, etc. And so my target market of so to speak, would be people between the age of 35 to 65. And I deliberately mentioned the age group for a reason because having that, sort of age group in terms of coaching, it's an inspiration for a lot of women, especially if they think they're mature and not, or they might feel like they've reached certain stage in their life and they think that's it. I'm just trying to make sure that they realize that they can keep going if they want to and still achieve their dreams. And I mainly coach mainly consultants and coaches as myself and people who offer some sort of service that solves a problem. And also, just helping them to transform themselves, the offers that they make in their business, their marketing, and also to make sure that they get results. Or if they already have some results, they would be transforming that result that they currently have. Mm-hmm. So that's it in a nutshell for me in terms of what I do.
Okay, so we're going to dive a little bit more into the business aspect in just a second, but I want to have you talk a little bit about your background and where you're from and how you got inspired to do this type of business, because we talked before a month or two ago, and it was just so interesting to hear your story. And I would like for everybody else to have an understanding of how you grew up and the things that you accomplished and what your family actually had a business and how you were involved in that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yes, my business journey didn't start, say, 5 years ago. I actually grew up in a family business, and at the age of 6, my parents started that business, and I was a very big part of that business from the age of, say, 12. I know before that I've been doing little things, but within that business, I remember as a child, I was one of those child entrepreneurs, so to speak.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I did play a big part in that business. I remember by the time I got to 12, I was able to help in a significant way in terms of on a daily basis running the business. And so between that age up until, say, 18, my life was really a lot about that business in terms of summertime when I leave school, that's where I am. And, after school and the weekends and so forth. But what I realize now about that business, and just before I get to that other point, and so after that, when I leave home, I actually went into business myself. So there was a stage, as you know, we want to do our own thing. We want to experience other things. And I didn't think it was for me anymore. And I just wanted to do something for my own life. And so I actually grew up in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. So I came in England as a teenager as well. And so when I did, sort of branch out for myself, I started to work within the retail sector, and I actually worked my way up into management, where I manage a few big name brands. And I did work in that sector for about 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I realized I needed a break. And as a woman with a child, I'm sure you understand.
Right.
There's a point when you work full time and you have all the other things that's happening outside of work, your family life, and things get to you a bit. And so I took a break. And I think it was one of the best things I did. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also encouraging for me to tell this story, because a lot of women, what I find is that when they get to a point in their life, they don't take the break.
Absolutely.
And so the mental side of it can be very, very damaging. And I think I was very blessed to realize at a stage when I needed to do something. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And to be honest, it was such a 50-50. It was good for me. It was good for my daughter because of the things that she actually got from me taking that break. Because, as you know, working full time, you don't really spend a lot of time with your kids and your family. Mm-hmm. And so that period when I took that break was a big thing, because she learned so much, her life changes. And for me, it was a big thing as well, because it was a transition, which I didn't even realize at the time, where I was moving out from where I am to something different. Mm-hmm. And I needed that space to reflect, to detox, and,
right.
And to just start all over again. And it was one of the best moments I can remember, one of the best decisions I could ever make. Even at the time, it wasn't the easiest thing. It was very tough to let go of a lot of stuff. But looking back, I wouldn't change it for anything. And so being in business has been just my life, so to speak. Growing up and then branching out to work with, other companies. And then within that break, I realized that, okay, it's time to do something again.
Okay.
And I actually bumped into someone by coincidence, which would have been my mentor coach at the time. And I, by coincidence, bumped into her details in a window, funny enough. And it's one of those things that I've never done. I always go, the route where to, look for doing things, whether it's in the newspaper or, directly through the company. And for some reason, I just felt like I was on a journey. And it's very strange because what I did then, I realized that was faith. And I bumped into this lady by coincidence. She invited me to a meeting. I called the number. And when she showed me this opportunity, it was mind-blowing. And I decided, okay, that's it. And I promised her that I would come back. And I did. And for that period of time, we worked together for 2 years, which is in network marketing. And to be honest, it was I think it was timing and it was right.
Okay.
Because the self-development, the growth that I got from it was just perfect. And having that mentor coach with me, and I had to emulate what she did to other people. But what was so interesting about it is that I picked up on a lot of things on that journey, being self-employed.
Okay.
And it was different from what I would have done in my family business and what I would have done in a traditional, going to work business.
Right.
And there was something that sparked in me that I needed to do something, which brought me to where I am now. But one of the things I wanted to point out that brought me here is the integrity and the, just the ability to being there for other people. Having that mentor, that coach taught me a lot because I realized that helped me so much. And me trying to emulate that because that was the nature of what I was doing, I find that there was people who really benefited from that. And I thought, wow, this is really what's missing, and I couldn't understand how to put it in, words at the time, but I knew something was missing only because I've met so many women who are so in a place where they truly need help.
Right.
And we really struggle. We really suffer in the sense where we have this pride. We have this thing that we believe that we need to do things on our own, or we shouldn't really rely on anyone to support us to move where we want to go. And that really shocked me. And I think I was one of them as well, even though but the difference was, for me, I had that mentality where I am easily open-minded to things, where I could easily adjust myself. And I was at a stage as well where I needed to get out of where I was.
Right.
So, it was very, timing and whatever that word is, that it was working for me. And I realized that that's what we really need, that's what we really, want for people to grow, whether it's even women or men. But the truth is we do need that support. And I realized that I was enjoying this thing. I was growing. I was expanding in my mental being. Excuse me. But one of the things, I think it was just the beginning of my journey.
Right.
And as you know, we had to start from somewhere. And why I say that, I started to develop and, grow and, learn and, and I could see the transition, which took me years. And I knew it was a calling in terms of going into, mainstream coaching. And so I trained as well, in that field. Even though it's something I've been doing, I realized that if I could get this to the standards that, where I could perform at the level of integrity to these people, that's where I wanted to be. And so what I started to do as well, I started to find these right people, to be my mentor, to be my coach, to work on the areas that I really needed to work on. Mm-hmm. And I find that works so powerfully. And, putting all of that together has, brought me to where I am today, offering this, business growth coaching for women like myself, because you only can solve a problem that you had before, because you've been there, you sort of understand what it feels like. And so that's what in a nutshell, my background would be summed up, as reaching where I am today.
Okay. Yeah. And you said a lot in this conversation here, and I just kind of want to point out a few things that I picked up on as you were talking, that the things that I like that you said, that it gets to a point in life where as women we have a tendency to not sit back and think about what we need and then take the time that we need in order to allow ourselves to regroup, to transform and do what we really truly want to do, because as we all know, life gets in the way. We all have families and children. And, when you decide to take a step of faith like that, I think that is always important, and it's worth an applause, because every day as women, we struggle with this, because we're always telling ourselves, we have a responsibility to be the women of everything, and women take on a lot. And I think a lot of times we just do it because we're so into what we're doing. We understand what we're trying to do. And as being a mother, and like I said, being a family member, we just know that we have to take care of our families. But at the end of the day, I always sit back and think about the fact that who's taking care of me, per se.
Exactly.
And so you have to consistently remind yourself that, if I want to go do this is going to benefit me regardless, because if you can't take care of yourself, and you cannot be there for somebody else, you can't tell somebody else how to live their life or how to run a business if you are not in that place.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's such a big thing. People wouldn't understand. And the sad thing is, it's just a small percentage of us who really respond to, wanting to really look after ourselves, the true way that we should look after ourselves. Mm-hmm. And as you rightly mentioned, who am I to tell someone what to do when I'm not doing it myself? And I've learned all of that, and I've realized that it's so true. And I thought to myself, wow. But the sad part of it that I find is that so many of us are in denial, and it's a tough thing. My journey was never the easiest in terms of, change. But I was open to it, and I was open to do whatever it took for me to do it. But I find, not many of us are willing to let go of whatever it is that is holding us back in the same way. And then that comes down to how much do you want to move forward anyway. And I think that was what happened for me. I wanted to move forward. I've always believed inside of me that something is great in me. I don't know why. I always felt it. No matter what I went through, I just always came back to that feeling that there is more in me. And I kept holding on to that for my lifetime, so to speak. And yeah.
I was going to say that I think that, everybody has a certain passion within inside of themselves. Mm-hmm. It's just understanding how to find that. And then once you do find it, it's understanding how to release it and realize that it's okay to live your dream, have that passion, and then put it out there. It's obvious that anything that's considered the unknown is always the scariest. But if you don't take those opportunities and those chances and realize this is who you are, you have a tendency, we suffer from within. You know, you'll get up every day and you continue to do the things that you want to do. But at the same token, you, like you said, you keep reminding yourself, or you know that there's something that's, you know, beating you up on the inside, trying to figure out, you know, what do I need to do? How do I get through this process? And then when you do decide to take that step forward, it truly makes you feel like you're whole again. You know, that you want to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And now here you are, you're doing that. And I guess the other piece that really stood out for me as you've been talking is the fact that you even realize that you have to have a mentor. And a lot of people don't understand in business. I don't care what, if you've been in business 1 year, 10 years, 20, 30, or 40, we all have somebody that we look up to. We all have somebody that we reach out to, and we're being mentored, even if we don't want to call it mentorship. That's exactly what's being done. So, you know, it's very important that what you've done is taken your experiences from being a child all the way up to today and utilizing those same experiences and providing those resources for other women so they can understand, you know, the capabilities that they have. And the thing that really stood out the most for me in this conversation is how you have achieved by picking a certain target market. You know, I would have never thought as 35 to 65 is that, you know, picking that specific group of people. But I guess, you know, when you think about it at the end of the day, when we do get to a certain age, and I hear it all the time from some women that, you know, well, I'm too old to start all over. You're never too old to start all over. Like I always tell people, I'm in my 50s and I am on my second chapter of life. Period.
Definitely. And that's the thing, you know, I've heard it so much, you know, that, you know, they just feel like they finished. And I'm thinking, no, you have so much more in you. Once you're alive and, you know, well, you can do so much more. And, you know, and it doesn't matter if it's on a big scale or it's on a small scale. The thing is, once you start living out that dream, that goal that you had, that's what's important. You know, at the end, when you look back and you said, oh, thank God I did that. And that's all we need to think about. What are you going to say at the end? And, you know, if you have a chance to do that. And, you know, and why shouldn't we live? Why, at any age, you know, I've seen people, you know, at 70, you know, going on holidays, doing the poetry classes, things that they were passionate about when they were younger, and they just had the time. And now they have the time. Utilize that time. Nobody says that it has to be a certain age that you were meant to achieve anything. That was the mainstream society putting that on us.
That's right.
And, you know, and to be honest with you, it's not even practical in most situations. And so this is the next thing that I've learned is about, you know, how do we realize that we should adjust ourselves to how we can adjust ourselves rather than what people expect of us.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes, we live in a society of conformity, and everybody, you know, expects us to conform to, well, you know, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. And, you know, I sit up here laughing when you talk about, you know, being 70 and having to all of a sudden relive your passion and feeling like you have to wait till you get to a certain point in life, which is ridiculous. Because I can even remember growing up as a kid and always hearing these commercials that used to say, oh, the golden years, you know, your retirement. I'm like, why do I want to wait till I'm 70 years old in order to enjoy retirement or to go sit on the beach and live the life that I want to live? Because at the end of the day, none of us are promised for tomorrow.
Exactly.
And so you constantly find people feeling like they have to prepare for retirement. And I always think of it this way. Yes, I'd love to want to be able to give my child, you know, what he deserves for my hard work. But at the end of the day, everything that we've accomplished, you know, we can't take it with us when we leave here. So you better live your life the way you want to live it while you're still here, because I think that's the most important piece. But it's funny how it's taking us years sometimes to learn that concept and understand our value and worth and realize that, you know, we're building our dreams, but you can't build those dreams by putting them in a box and saying, I'll get to them later. And so that's, you know, some of the things that you're kind of been talking about with your journey here. But the one thing I want to kind of dive into as we're continuing forward on this interview is tell me a little bit about what you provide in the consulting and coaching business that you're doing. Is there a specific program that you offer, or how do you provide the information? I mean, do you customize whatever is needed for those women who are looking to be coached?
It's a combination. So, and it's good you asked that, because just now I am about to launch a online course.
Okay.
Where
Great.
That's going to be the same coaching package, but it's going to have everything, or almost everything, that a client needs in order to build their business from scratch, or if they actually started, how can they scale it on a different level. I do also do the same thing on a one-to-one basis. Because I find that some people are good with the with the course and the one-to-one. But one thing I want to say about the course, I will be also offering 1 day a week where I do a webinar call, so people can also post what challenges they're facing, or any question they want to ask that they need help with. And it's going to be an 8-week course.
Okay.
And it's going to be intense, because what I find with with offering coaching sessions, and with from experience, is that once you don't do it with intensity at some point, we can always drag along with what we're doing, but there is a point when we need that intensity of workload to get into what we're doing. So not that after the 8 weeks that's it. They will continue, and they will always have the course to go back to remind them of how to do things. And I'm also going to be a email away for them to get in touch with me to ask any question. Because what I'm trying to do is provide that support system,
Right,
whichever way I can, so that they're not on their own in doing this. Because, I found that, the support is key to doing this. So even having an online course doesn't necessarily solve people's problem
right.
on its own. They need that support system, and so the email system will be be there for them to contact me, and also that 1 day a week call that I would be offering as well with the course, for them to get that intense training to move on to whatever business they're into, so they can set up quickly and smoothly, and not as stressful as it would be if they were on their own.
Okay. All right. That's good. It's actually very good information, because, with the way social media works today, people need that instant gratification, but also at the same time, it's having that flexibility to be able to continue to network with women, without feeling like you always have to be in front of them, in front of the face, because the way we are today, people have very busy schedules. So, it's always great to have that flexibility. So I think that your new programs that you're going to be offering will be substantial and will be helpful for these other women who are looking to achieve transforming who they are and reaching their goals. So the other question I have for you is that I want to have you provide some type of advice or resource to a woman who, if they were walking up to you today, what would you tell them about what they need to do to start a business?
In terms of starting a business, the first part of it is to, think about that vision, that purpose that they have always felt inside of them, that thing that they've always wanted to do, or that one problem they always wanted to solve for somebody else. Because what I find is that, we can get easily distracted with wanting to do so many things. And that's one of the biggest, thing that we faced in terms of, not moving forward because there's so much to do. Looks so good, so exciting, but at the same time, we only need to focus on one first. I'm not saying you can't do more than one thing, but you have to put the energy into one thing first. Make it work first, because if you have too many things going and nothing works, you're just like on a treadmill.
Right.
And so the first thing is about that. And the next thing is just making sure that you build a foundation for your business to stand on. So the plan is very crucial to put in place for you to move forward with that business. Without a solid plan, and the plan is going to be flexible, it's going to be, thing that you keep changing and tweeting, but there's going to be a template of something that you work around, and in order for you to build that business. For example, if for example, I use my coaching business. If I was to do my coaching business to start off with, and I decided that my marketing strategy is going to be Facebook or flyers, networking event, those things oddly change. The main thing that would mainly change within your business is the financial part of it, because you keep doing different things, or coming up with new strategies, or to pay people to do things like that. But some of the things are very standard, very the things that you need to do. So one of the things why I stress so much about the plan is that if you don't have a plan in place, it's going to be hard for you to really see your way through, because you don't have nothing concrete to work with. You're just doing things for the sake of doing it. Mm-hmm. And the plan helps you to manage yourself. Where are you 3 months time, 6 months time, a year time, 2 years time, and so forth, up to 5 years time. And that's why I say to people, give it 5 years, at least a plan of 5 years, in order for you to have something to work with. If you have only 1 year, okay, you can do something in 1 year, but what happens after that? Right. And once you don't, after that, you get stuck. And that's the sad part of it. So, for example, if you're into a business and, maybe your first year is all about planning, putting things together, because every business is different and everybody wants something. And it might be about getting staffing, getting funding, etc. And sometimes the first year is all about planning. Sometimes I always say the first year, depending on what it is, you might as well don't even look for an income. That's right. And the second year as well, to be honest, isn't it? And so you see, what people do, they start off the first year and they said, oh, I want to earn this. And because they haven't got any plan in place, and nothing is solid, and they don't see that money that they want to make, they said it doesn't work. And it just can't work like just saying it. You have to put some work in.
Right. Yeah. What it really boils down to is that we have a lot of people who decide that they want to come into business, and they think if it's the attitude, hey, if I build it, people will just automatically come. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really work that way. And it's not to say that it's impossible to build income in the first year, but you do. I have found, and I'm sure a lot of other women-owned businesses have found that they have a transformation period that you go through in that year. You will find yourself saying, hey, I started out this way. This was my first original thought. And then the next thing you know, you're transforming it this way, because you want to ensure that you're meeting the need of the customers and you're conveying your message properly in order to make that business successful. So, yeah, it's definitely very important. I love the way you've talked about the importance of a plan, because that is something I strive and try to make people understand. You have to have a plan. If you're just talking about it and then you're not implementing anything, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to constantly be on this vicious cycle that you keep talking and saying, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you look up and nothing happens. Or either you have these other side of the coin where you have people who will just jump out there, they'll start a business, and then 9 days later, they're out of business. And the big part of that is because they did not plan. So.
Yes, and they were never, and it's interesting because, they never even prepare themselves for the challenges that, comes with the business as
Exactly.
well. And so because they're not prepared to face these challenges, as soon as the difficult time comes, they run away.
That's right.
And and that's one of the biggest part as well. You're gonna have to be prepared to grow with your business, because it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to deal with, whether it's with people, whether it's, with your own self-doubts, what you're not sure if you're going to do it, or, you tend to just meet up on all these challenges that comes along, and how do you manage them, or, to in order for you to, move forward, all the uncertainties of, the future of the business. How do you cope, to make sure that you do not get distracted or derailed,
Right.
as definitely.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a part of business, because no matter how many years you're in business, you're going to continue to learn. And where you started out, you may not necessarily end up. So, there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, as long as you understand this is the process. And like you said, the challenges you may face, don't give up. You just still need to understand that you can be successful in business. It's just a matter how you handle it. And that's with anything in life, so
Definitely.
yeah. But I have yeah, absolutely. A couple more questions for you here before we end this interview. Explain to me how listeners can get a hold of you.
Okay, brilliant. I'm on Facebook mostly. So my webpage is down at the moment. So Facebook would be the big place for me. I have a business page, which is facebook.com Achieve Transform. Also, they can get me on my business number, which is 07807438497. And once they send me a message, I normally get back to them within the 24 hours of that message being sent. And, we will always get back to them.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. And I just want to say thank you again for coming on tonight and sharing your story. We have learned so much about who you are and what you have accomplished. And it has truly been a pleasure having this opportunity to, listen and work and, chat with you tonight, because we've gone through a lot, and there's so much more we've talked about even offline, but, trying to get it all in a 30-40 minute interview is kind of hard. But again, like I said, I would like to thank you for coming on tonight and sharing your story. For everybody, you will be able to listen to all of WSBI's interviews anytime through Spreaker. You can find us at www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. Also, this show comes on every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But if you want to reach out to me anytime, you're more than welcome to find me at www.wsbillc.com. You can also visit me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. But until then, you all have a good evening, and we'll talk soon.